The image of her father being wounded at the prisoner exchange haunted Princess Catrin as she entered the cave's dank womb where warriors had secretly carried the casualties. Under the illumination of a flaming torch, she found several men hovering over the king's motionless body. She feared the decision to use the dark forces of the ancient Druids to alter the future could doom her father and people. Catrin trembled as she knelt by her father and studied his blood-smeared face. A chill of foreboding sliced down her spine. Just that morning, she had made love with Marcellus on what could be her father's deathbed. She placed the palm of her hand on his forehead. His skin was cold and clammy, but he was still alive. Feeling the bloody streaks on his tunic, she pulled her fingers away and turned to Kynric, the king's most trusted guard. "Help me remove the tunic. I need to stop the bleeding." Kynric supported the king as Catrin cut the fabric from his chest. The ghastly crisscross cuts and deep abdominal gash made her cringe. A stench like rotten eggs assaulted her nostrils. King Amren fidgeted. "Fetch my druidess." "No," Catrin snapped. "Agrona is a traitor. We can't risk letting anyone know we've rescued and are tending you. There are herbs near the wall that will help reduce the swelling." Catrin clasped her father's icy hands and noticed his sunken, bloodshot eyes. She looked to Kynric. "Heat a knife so I can seal his wounds. I also need water from the river." "Do what my daughter says," rasped Amren. Kynric pointed to the cave's opening. "I'll start a fire over there and get someone to fetch the water." While Kynric prepared the fire, Catrin rummaged through several pouches, searching for the proper herbs. After a warrior returned with a bucket of water, she soaked several strips of willow bark in the container, then crushed dried blackberry, borage, and sage stems in a ceramic mortar. She finally added vinegar to the powder and stirred the contents with her finger into a green paste. She looked at Kynric. "Is the knife ready?" Kynric pulled the glowing red blade from the flames. "It looks hot enough." "Then bring it to me." Catrin took the knife from Kynric, who then restrained the king's arms. She pressed the searing blade on the wounds, methodically moving downward. The king writhed in agony, his eyes as wild as a wounded animal's as he fought Kynric's restraint. Concentrating on her task, Catrin swallowed the bile in her mouth and handed the dagger to Kynric to reheat the blade. Light-headed and in a cold sweat, she leaned into the hard wall to brace herself, then applied the paste dressing over her father's reddened wounds. Even with her gentle touch, his muscles flinched. Observing the anguish on his face, she placed a blanket under his head and gave him chamomile and poppy in water to ease his pain. She continued the treatment by placing bark strips on the dressing until the king's grip around her wrist stopped her. "We need to speak about Marcellus," Amren said with a growl from deep within his throat. Catrin winced, apprehensive her father knew about her relationship with the Roman hostage placed under her charge. She warily studied the king as he closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He waved Tristan, his second-in-command, over and whispered to him. With a nod, Tristan ordered everyone away.